Hello there, guys, and welcome to Scottish Hill Talking. As you can see, if you're watching this on the YouTubes, I am just back from a sort of hike, I guess. But we'll get into that in a second. So, as I said, I am currently recording this as a sort of face to face sort of. Hi, get to know me. Sort of. This is what the new sort of concept's going to be for the YouTube page. Um, I plan on doing some sort of face-to-face recordings like this. I'll also put up some videos of like my mashed together TikTok sort of ones that I did for the Europe Moors as well. But once a month, this is my sort of plan, is to make sure I get one out like this. So it's like me physically talking on the Facebooks, YouTube, Twitter, bollocks. Um, but yeah, so my plan, as I said in my last podcast, was to try and make sure I get one of these out a month, sort of thing. This month, I've decided that I am going. Well, I said saying this month in February, end of February, I decided I am going to take part in a walking charity event. In Scotland, most people will know about this. It's called the Scottish Kilt Walk. So in the big cities like Glasgow, Dundee, Aberdeen, and Edinburgh, they once a year they all do this big charity event for lots of little local charities run in Scotland, to help out, and it's basically a sponsored walk. But the best thing about this walk is you do it in a kilt, and me being the absolute diehard Scot that I am, loves a kilt, so I had to jump at the chance. I thought it'd be great content for the podcast as well. I am currently running a Just Giving page, and I am currently at £40 out of my £150 target. Thank you to everybody who's donated so far. The charity I've chose to support while doing this is Chaz, which is the Children's Hospices Across Scotland charity. They help out a lot of families in need that are in shitty circumstances, essentially. And they help out, obviously, lots of the hospices that help deal with those families as well. It's a great charity support. It's one that I feel needs a lot of support, because obviously I work in the NHS now. I love saying that. But yeah, so I work in the NHS as an auxiliary nurse, and obviously I work on a surgical ward, so I haven't seen that many young people on my ward. It is mainly like older people, but there's a few that do show up, and your heart just breaks for them. So like, you just want to make sure that these people do have the best chance to have a good rest of their life, at least, helps them out with lots of stuff, treatment wise and everything else. And it's one of the ones in Scotland that I've chose to support this year. Back in October, I did the 100 yards in 100 days, 100 miles in 100 days, 100 miles in October challenge for the Scottish Charity Air Ambulance, and I raised a good wee bit of money for that. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to try and do this maybe once or twice a year. Since I made a lot of money. Well, I say a lot of money. I made a really good hundred odd quid off it for them. So, and forgot to say, I ended up on the postcard as well. Hold on, where am I? Down there. Bendy else got it. There me. But yeah, so I've chosen to support Chaz this year. It was between Chaz and Sam H. And Chaz's team were first to email me back. So Sam H, I will hopefully try and do something for you guys later on in the year. But yeah, so the Scottish Kilt Walk, that's what I'm training for just now, which is what this talk is all, what this podcast is all about. So this morning, me and Bud, my dog, decided to get up at 8 o'clock to be ready for 8:30, because we love to keep ourselves on our toes. We were originally meant to be meeting up with Alan, who has been on the podcast before in the past, who will hopefully be coming on maybe April or May after I've done the Kilt Walk, to talk about that, because he'll be coming to join me on that and help me raise some money. So me and Bud got up this morning and decided we were originally going to walk from our house to Wimms Bay and then up to Everton, the scout camp, which would have been about 14, 15 miles. And then, well, it was in total, it would have been about 19 miles there and back. But because Alan wasn't with us, I didn't feel like walking the whole way by myself. So what I'll do is I'll eventually meet up with him. We'll do that walk, and then I'll hopefully that'll even be the talk for March. So this was a little bit of training to see how because I've not been out on a proper walk other than the wee ones we do with the scouts since, to be honest, probably since we did the cobbler, which was my very first episode. That was nearly 2 years ago. I know, can't believe it. Well, it was a year and a half ago at least. But so my plan was me and Bud would walk to Wimms Bay. Well, not Wimms Bay. We would walk to Lunderson Bay, which is down the front of Gourock. It's a beautiful walk along the Cloch Road. And if you've ever been in Gourock or driving through Gourock, this is like the main road down the front, right next to the Clyde that you take. We had an absolutely gorgeous day for it today. It wasn't roasting, but it was a nice temperature. I still needed my coat, but like didn't really need the hat as much. But also was wearing 4 layers. And we managed to get to Lunderson Bay in about 2 hours, which is actually pretty good for me, especially with the dog. And then hopefully over time I'll be able to do it a bit faster and whatnot. But like we had a good wee bit of fun. We managed to get there quite quickly. The view was amazing because you've seen right across the Clyde. You get to see all the hills and all the, like, I'd say mountains, but they look like mountains from a distance. But it's like honestly it's like a Bob Ross painting when you get a good day down here. It's one of those ones you might have seen it on my TikTok if you follow me there. That when you come down the hill, that's all you see. It's like this picturesque landscape of hills across the Clyde, and it's always been my thing for when I was walking to work when I used to work in the pet shop was I'm going to find out the names of those hills and make sure I get them ticked off my bucket list for when after the pandemic's over. And the pandemic is almost over, air quotations for those on Spotify. So you never know, maybe I might actually be able to tackle some of those in the future and use them for content. But carrying on from today, so took us about, in total, about 3 hours to get there and back. We took a wee bit of a detour to come home, so we weren't going the exact same route. Bud was a really good behaved boy for a deaf dog. There were lots of dogs kind of coming up to him and whatnot, but he was pretty calm, pretty cool, pretty collected. Yeah, but a great all round day, to be honest. Had a good wee bit of scran when we were down at the Lunderson Bay. Bud had a lunchbox full of dog food, and I had some jam sandwiches because I'm an absolute child. And some quavers, obviously. And I just had my headphones on most of the time, just listening to like Unsolved Mystery podcasts and the Supernatural podcasts on Parcast. Because I've already listened to It's Only a Movie for this week, so can't do a podcast without plugging them, the boys. But yeah, it was a great wee walk. I really enjoyed it. Really helped me clear my head as well, mental health wise, because obviously this is something that I want to be talking about a lot more on the podcast. I'm doing pretty well. I have had a couple of off days, but that's purely because I've not really been in work because I've got to use up my annual leave. So I'm kind of stuck in the house with my own thoughts with the dogs, and I'm bored at my nut. So that's how I decided to do this. But yeah, like I'm loving my job. I am loving life in general. Tomorrow for my other podcast as well. If you are interested in comic books and all that, I am going to Glasgow Comic Con, the Acme Comic Con up in the SEC, which I can't wait because it's the first con that I've been to after post pandemic. We'll be going up as El Robino over there. That's Robin to those on Spotify that aren't listening, by the way, aren't watching. Sorry. So it's going to be a great day. I'm going to meet up with some of my mates, getting to get some pictures with people, and it's going to be a great day. I'm also meeting up with Jordan from That Effing Guy, and it's only a movie podcast, which will be great to see him again. But yeah, like if you enjoy comic books and comic book talk and whatnot and con talk, I will be probably recording that maybe Sunday night, so it should be up by Monday. That's on Who Cares Nerds. But yeah, so back to Scottish Hill talking. So yeah, as I said, I'm doing the training for the kilt walk. I didn't go out in my kilt today because it was my first walk. So, but I reckon I could have got away with the weather in my kilt today. I've got a brand new pair of Peter Storm boots as well that my gran and granda got me for my Christmas. So thanks, gran and granda. And I've got some fresh new hiking socks as well. So I'm well ready for this. I think the only thing that I'll need to do is make sure I do a weather check for the actual kilt walk to make sure I'm not wearing a heavy jacket. I wasn't really wearing a heavy one because that's my super dry jacket, and it's not heavy, but I think it's because I've got so many layers on my way back. I was feeling really warm, so I might need to check on that. But other than that, real fun walk, really beautiful view. If you're ever in Guruk, I definitely recommend just walking along the front of Guruk. You'll not be disappointed on a clear day, believe me. It is beautiful. And you can also get fish and chips down there, so, win-win. But yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. This has just been me ranting on and try to plug my Just Giving page that I will be posting either in the comments or in the links if you're on YouTube or Spotify. I'll only keep this up for the link up for maybe a couple of months because obviously the kilt walk is on the 24th of April this year. So I'll leave a wee link at the end of this video for you if you want to join. I'm also running a Scottish Hill Talk podcast team on the Just Giving. So if you want to even join the hill walk, the kilt walk, and you want to come meet up with me and Alan, we'll be there. We can even have a wee gab. I can promise some good bants. And yeah, so I hope if you do decide to donate, thank you. And if you donate for anybody else's cause, thank you as well on behalf of them and on behalf of their charity, because it's a great charity that I'm supporting. But that's not to say there aren't better, good charities out there. Not better charities, I can't say that. But it's a great charity I'm supporting. It's Chaz, the charity hospice across Scotland. And yeah, just it's one of them ones we need to support some way. So I'm happy to put my kilt on and go for a walk. And it's going to be a brilliant walk. It's from Glasgow Green all the way to Balloch and Loch Lomond. But yeah, can't wait to get started and hope to see some of you there. And if you're going to be there, leave a wee like or a comment in the YouTubes, and hopefully we can meet up. Stay safe out there, guys. If you can, get out in the hills, enjoy yourself, and keep walking. See yous.